self-love, and the art of rising again, turning lived experiences into legacy for women everywhere. With a poetic insight and strategic brilliance, let us welcome Anusha to share her story.
Thank you, ladies. It's such an honor to be here. So my word for today is excited. I always wanted to do a TED Talk. Here's my jar. So I'm no stranger to Reinvention. I was born in Pietermaritzburg, a small town in KZN. From KZN, we moved a lot. I've been to 10 different schools in my lifetime. Every single time, I had to make new friends. I had to start again, start over. At 10 years old, my father left home. I never knew that was the last time I was going to see him. That he was going to, his last words to me at 10 was said to me, look after your mother and look after your sister. I grew up then. Unfair. At 10, I had to become a grown-up to look after my mother and my sister. Thereafter, my mother she was contracted viral meningitis, and we had to move again because the doctor said, change environment, and of all the places she chose Pietermaritzburg. And we had to move. We had to go to Port Elizabeth. I moved from a school that was from the House of Delegates at that time, and I moved to House of Representatives. So here I learned, I get the angles in Afrikaans van hier. Cool stuff in Gallium, I failed my first test, because it was my first, as I said, I didn't know what it was. The education system was different. I lived through the riots. There was riots in Port Elizabeth at that time. I was climbing walls and trying to find out, well, who am I in this world? What am I? But I have to look after my mother, and I have to look after my sister. That's the goal. That's the ask. That's the job. Moving along swiftly, we moved along, as I said. I changed schools in standard 8 at the time. 8, 9, and 10, I went to different schools. So I finished my matric. I was not good enough to be a prefect. Could not be a head girl, because I only just joined the school. I was only 6 months in school. So I always wanted to be heard. I wanted to be seen. So then I started chasing a dream. I didn't know what I was chasing. Was I chasing reinvention? What was I chasing? Who am I? Where am I going? What do I want? What is it there? So fast forward, in 1992, I started work. On the last day of school in matric, I actually started working. My mother was living, she was raising us on 850 Rand a month, which is a pension for my father. Because when my father died, he was a brilliant man, and he died of a brain tumor. So she had to pick up the life. She had to pick up, and she had to raise his 2 children. I started work, and I was like, what am I doing with my future? Where am I going? I got accepted for medicine in UCT. I got accepted for all the courses. I could be anybody I wanted to be. We just didn't have the money. So I worked. My first salary, we bought a fridge because we had no fridge. So we bought a fridge and I paid. I started working. I started studying. I worked for a legal firm. I signed letters of demand. I felt boss. I felt great. And my bosses at the time wanted me to be an attorney because I had a mouth, I could talk, I could debate. I had spirit because I wanted to be somebody. But I was never going to do law. I mean, to just learn Latin was just not my thing. I was like, okay, what am I doing? So I started studying. I started studying through UNISA. I started studying through correspondence. woke up one day and I had received a letter from a hater, from somebody who didn't appreciate me, a fellow female, who had ulterior motives, and it was just not something that I was not her cup of tea. And I just made a choice then. I said, so what am I going to do? I chose me. I said, I'm going to Igoli. I'm going to the Transvaal. I'm going to find my pot of gold and I'm going to go. So there I was. I left Pietermaritzburg on a Greyhound bus with 2 suitcases, going to seek my fortune in Igoli, in Johannesburg, with no plan, with no future. But I did have a brick, my first Motorola. And I was going places. I had a phone, I had a cell phone, and I'm going. I lived in Johannesburg. Johannesburg taught me, gave me my first sense of independence. And I came to Johannesburg. I lived in Park Street. If any of you know where the massacre was, police massacre, that's where I lived, next to Jeppy Street. A taxi collected me every single morning at 4 a.m. in the morning. I was the one sitting next to him, collecting the money. He was there. 4 o'clock. I went to Carlton Centre. He dropped me off at Carlton Centre. From Carlton Centre, I had my first job that I was going to on a Patco bus. My porridge and with my cornflakes in the bus. And I got dropped off at the Development Bank of South Africa. And that was a long journey. If I missed the bus in the afternoon, I went all the way to Alex. So I was that girl. It was the girl that went through Alex. I went through Noord Street, through Bree Street, sitting in the taxi, the lights in here. On one side in Bree Street, here's some gold. The side is drugs. What is your flavor for today? So that's how it started. I had to be that person. Yes, anyway, I had to show up for myself, for me, to make a better world, to see where am I finding my place. I moved alone from Johannesburg. I moved everywhere. Where's the money? Santon. I want a job in Santon. I made friends with the drivers. I made friends with people at Development Bank, and they took me for every interview. I walked in my heels. I showed up. I went for interviews, and I moved to different jobs. I was mugged in Braamfontein. I worked for a firm of attorneys. And it was a little guy. He pushed me against the wall, and he took my chain. And I was like, no, you're not going to. I hit him. Pushed him against the wall. And I said, no, you're not going to take it. You're not going to get the better of me. So there's always a thing of me, of fighting and moving and trying to reinvent myself in a way to say, who am I? How am I? What is my strength? Where am I going to go? So moving along swiftly, at 30, I was an orphan. My mother died. I never knew again that history was going to repeat itself, in the sense that that Sunday was the last time that I actually gave a hug. It was a week before Christmas. It was the 18th of December, 2006. All I would remember is a phone call from my sister that says, come now, I'm freaking out. Here I was, giving mouth to a body that was already in the rigor. And that was my mother, lying. My world changed. What did I have to do? What do you do? I have no brothers, but no father. It was me against the world. I had to be strong for my sister. Because remember, my father said, look after your mother, look after your sister. My mother was gone. So what do? You pick up and you move on. And you've got 2 kids. At the same time, my marriage was falling apart. So now here I am, going through divorce. My mother's gone. What do? How do I move on? And that's when I realized that it's actually, I have the skill inside of me. I'm stronger than I think, stronger than I know. And I can dig deep, and I can actually make something out of this. So I chose myself. Yes, I got divorced, we went on. Trying to build a career And I had no degree. I was still studying. I started studying when I was working because I didn't know what I was going to do. I was still doing my studies through UNISA. I carried on. I wanted to know, is this for me? What do I do? How does life look like after divorce? I've got 2 kids. Where do I take? What do I do? Oh, then I decided, let's move to Centurion. Let's build a house. It's a new project. Keeps me busy. Let's build a house. Let's go there. But little did I know that there was another curveball around the corner. That COVID was going to hit nobody. I was a victim of COVID, where in the sense that I didn't have COVID, but I lost my job. So here I am. My last day of work, 20th of December, 2020. I have no job. I have 2 kids. I have a house in Centurion that I built. What do I do? Where do I go? Let's take your rejection money, let's move to Italy. That sounds like a brilliant idea. What am I looking for? No, I want to go somewhere where nobody knows my name. I'm going to start over. I'm going to reinvent myself. So I moved to Italy. I sold my house. I sold up everything. And I left not with 2 suitcases this time, but with 10 suitcases. So myself and 2 children with 10 suitcases, we moved to Italy. We moved to Milan. Remember, I have no history in Milan, apart from visiting and going on holiday, or in Italy for that matter. No ancestry, nothing. But I found a way, did it all legally. I took my last pennies and I said, I'm going with the business plan in my hand. I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to do it in Italy. My idea was to do something for women because I was always about women empowerment. So I went in Italy, in a new town, not knowing a language, not knowing the word of Italy. All I can tell you is the bureaucracy was brutal. But here I was with my children. We will learn the language. We will make a life. We will move on. I had no house, no friends, nothing in Italy. So how did I do it? What did we do? Navigated the system. We moved from house to house. There again, leading the nomadic lifestyle. My children studied. My daughter, I'm pleased to say, she wrote an exam and she got in to study at one of the universities, the only English course in Milan, which is artificial intelligence. She graduates next month. I will be there. My son studied through Cambridge. He did his A's levels. So he got the education. He starts next month. He will be doing data engineering and data science. So I did it. I arrived. But unfortunately, Italy did not go as I planned. And that's what happens in life. As much as you dream and as much as you want, it doesn't always work out the way you want it. So I still have the business plan. The dream is not dead. I will have that dream come true, where I build a factory, where I have a 3D printing place, or some sort of technology, where I empower women, and we will empower each other, and we will continue spreading the word. But my money ran out fast, because if you know what the exchange rate is, it was trading, it was going fast. I had to make a decision to say, where do I go? Where do you go? You go to your roots. Where's my roots? South Africa. So I had to make a very difficult decision, and I had to come back to South Africa with the little bit of savings that I had left to start over, to rebuild. Because somewhere along the line, I had learned the skill of reinvention. So this year, I turned 50. It was big for me. Then started a season of self-reflection. And I wanted to know, as Milan said, what is my legacy? What is the footprint? What am I leaving? I've got no money. So what am I leaving? It's not about the money. It's not about the material things. It's about what am I leaving for a daughter, a 22-year-old daughter and a son. And for the world at large, what am I leaving? What have they got to go forward? So what did I do? I wrote a trilogy of 3 books, a memoir about my life. Not published yet, the first one is published. But that's what I'm going to leave to the world, is my story, which I'm sure will resonate with a lot of you sitting in the room. We all share the same story, but just in different chapters. So I invite you today to ask yourself, take a leaf out of my book. What have I survived? What have I overcome? What have I outgrown? And who am I becoming? Having said that, in closing, I want you to take the chance. I want you to make a choice, to take a chance, and make a change, a significant change in your life. Because we are warriors. I want you to not be afraid. I want you to keep moving forward. Because that dream, it can be. Why? Because we are warriors. We are women in Africa, our home. And we drive growth. How? By standing together and lifting each other up. Why? Because we are women. Thank you.